Terraria has been around for, well, let's just say a long time. Some of us have been playing since day one, but many people came along after big updates like 1.3 or 1.4. I count myself amongst those who have played the game since its origin. But because you can't revert to an older version of the game, I was never able to go back and reminisce on how the game was back then. That is, until now. Create character? Oh my goodness, the nostalgia. Oh, the nostalgia is hitting me so hard right now. Last April Fool's, Relogic released the Undeluxe Edition, the original release version of the game. And I am not exaggerating when I say that this has been the single greatest nostalgia trip of my life. The old character creator requires you to mix colors to find what you want. When you select a hair type, it just tells you the name of the hair, and by name I mean it says hair, insert number here. We can still customize the shirt, undershirt, shoes, and pants, but without sliders, it's so much more difficult. Create drawer bin. Oh, look at him. Look at that beauty. Beautiful man. This is the Terraria Undeluxe Edition experience, the OG Terraria experience. This is how Terraria was when it first released. Oh. Wait, I can't kill the bunny? Oh. But before that, real quick, this video is sponsored by Is There Any Deal? This is a price comparison website for PC games. Is There Any Deal checks the prices from authorized stores to see who is selling at the best price so you can get the best deal. They even have a wish list system they call a waitlist, which allows you to set up various notification rules like price limits. So you'll be notified when the game is below $5, like the next time Terraria is on sale and you need to purchase your 100th copy. Speaking of which, you can even link your Steam profile and make the whole process easier. It's completely free to create an account, so consider checking out their website using the link in the description below so you'll be ready for the next round of sales. I can't kill the bunny! Passive mobs are not the only thing that's different, as you can imagine. Slimes and, well, enemies in general, they don't have those handy health bars anymore. Back in the day, you had to either hover your mouse over the enemy or else spitball about how much health it still has. The same even goes for trees and blocks. There is no progressive damage visibly shown as you chomp them down. A line is not made along the tree trunk, nor is any damage shown to any block. You mine till it breaks, and that's it. Wood of any kind, it can only be broken with an axe, even after chopping down a tree. Only axes can break wooden blocks, and the only way to use an item is by placing it in your hotbar. You can't simply grab something from your inventory and use it. That is how you throw away an item or throw it out. If you want to place something, like a workbench, you have to put it in your hotbar and put it down. There is no auto-filling the walls, and doors are fully manual. Congratulations, you are now opening doors manually and you can no longer do it on autopilot. Did this ever prevent NPCs like the guide from letting mobs in during the night? No. I am loving this massive wave of nostalgia. I wasn't sure how cave generation might have changed over time and was wondering if I'd find a naturally generated one at all. Thankfully, there was a cave nearby. Great to see that they were around even back in the original release. Being in this cave brings back memories about how you can't place torches on walls. They have to be on a solid block, and something I had totally forgotten, to break chests, you have to use a hammer. Pretty sure a hammer is actually required to break all background objects actually, like tables and chairs, but down I go into the cave. I am going to get as powerful as I can and defeat the final boss of the original Terraria, that being Skeletron. Truly the hardest boss of the game that we all know and love. Wait, they had the blowpipe this early? Really? Wait, original blink root literally blinked. Thus the name. Oh, I don't remember that at all. I also found a wooden boomerang and had to remind myself that this cannot be crafted into an enchanted boomerang like it can now. It's just a wooden boomerang, and that's all it will ever be. Another thing you've probably also noticed is how the lighting here is very different than in modern Terraria. And the thing is too, like, everything is like actually dark. The contrast between things that are dark and bright is very staggering. Part of me likes it, part of me is glad that they kind of moved away from it. It's definitely kind of older design. It's pretty cool. What is that effect around the demon altar? Wait,
That's so cool. Why'd they remove that? Oh, that's silver ore. Oh, that's barely different than stone.
I've run out of cave and figured I should mine straight down, and you know how nowadays you have a smart cursor and just have to hold left click as you move the cursor wherever you're trying to mine? Well, there was a time when smart cursor did not exist. Instead, you had to manually mine every single block, and I can just recall the pain in my finger from holding down left click while also shifting the mouse back and forth ever so slightly for what felt like ages. You can't simply look away and mine, you have to pay close attention or else you're getting nowhere. Deeper in those caves, I found my first golden chest. Out in the open, on some random blocks, of course. It's not a treasure room, and there are none in this version, and I find a band of regen.
Oh my god! The old band of regen sprites! Ah, man, just like every little thing is just such a massive wave of nostalgia. I just saw the band of regen sprite. I remember that. Oh, remember berries?
Black slimes are actually black in this version, and I think the new, more gray color in the modern versions helped them camouflage with the newer lighting system. But in this older version, the dark color works really well. Oh, and when you die, it doesn't tell you how much money you dropped or how long until you respawn. You just got to wait and look at the "you were slain" text until you reappear in the world, and I find myself reminiscing once again.
There's some things here where it's like, did I actually play this version? And other things where it's like, yeah, I definitely played this version. Like, I remember the goofy PNG sun. I remember being so excited that a tundra biome was going to be added. Like, why? That's crazy. I want penguins in Terraria.
As I tried to find where I had died to continue exploring, I realized two things. Terraria without rope makes caves kind of tough. In order to make safe falls, you either have to mine straight down and extend the little caves, chutes, or whatever, little by little, or else place a bunch of platforms. Going down isn't really that big of a difference though, it's going back up. There's no real good way of doing that. It's so much harder going upwards. The second realization is how there's no minimap. I noticed it right from the start, but now it's really hitting me how you had to memorize your caves and get a general idea as to where everything is. The minimap has become so essential to finding my way through the game. I feel like I'm living life before Google Maps was created. Gonna have to pull out a physical map for this one. I died in the same spot and took the chance back home to set up a furnace. And I kind of liked the old furnace. Placed an anvil and made the two houses suitable.
Oh right, we don't have the little hammer, so you actually have to scroll through every individual item.
Building simple houses has become so much more difficult, what with how you have to scroll through everything to make anything, and all the furniture needs to be in the hotbar to use. Having all this set up, I was able to make an iron broadsword, and it's so much better than my starting copper short sword. There weren't difficulty options with the original release, so it's only classic mode, and an iron broadsword is, well, good enough for most of the things on the surface, but there's also a whole lot fewer weapons and accessories that I can use to take advantage of. Now, this whole time, I've only been in that one cave near spawn, so I decided I wanted to try and explore the surface some more.
Oh! Cactuses hurt you? That's crazy! I feel like I have a small memory of that. I do not remember.
Traversing the desert is so much more goofy now, and I'm sure this would get annoying really quickly. Not sure when cactus damage was removed. It definitely changes things when you need to chop every cactus before continuing. Vultures are just as easy to kill as they have always been, and the terrain is different, much less smooth, and of course there's no oasis. It also dawns on me how the lack of a desert-specific background really changes things, or at least the general atmosphere. Those backgrounds really do help the biome feel different, more lively and full. It's like I'm just in a bunch of sand, not a desert.
The corruption, baby! Let's go! The game was so easy back in the day. I guess in some ways it's actually a little bit harder to get around because of the amount of quality of life stuff that's gone, and then you have to kind of move things around a little different, like...
I returned to the corruption, thinking I'd return to an old strategy of mine where I'd blow up a shadow orb super early and use the musket to carry me through progression. But then I fell into a lake and couldn't get out. These lakes feel larger and more dangerous. I don't know what it is exactly, but falling into one is much more of a threat in OG Terraria than it is in modern one. Anyways, it's finally time to set up some chests, as I've only just collected enough stuff that I need to make room in my inventory. Maybe there is less space in my inventory, like there's fewer, slots for things, and these chests also don't hold nearly as much, but there's also less items to pick up, so it kind of evens out. Terraria was smart and updated their inventory management as the game expanded. unlike certain other games. Meanwhile, heading to the right side of the world had me feeling odd, and the world felt spooky, weirdly enough. The reason? Well, it was just a bunch of forest. I've become accustomed to how biomes are laid out in our current version of the game that I forgot how different the early builds were. It was just forest and more forest. Lakes became genuine obstacles as I bridged across them rather than facing another watery grave. I've also found that one of the quality of life changes I miss the most is how you automatically step up 1 block inclines. In this version, you have to jump over every single block you come across, no matter the size. It makes exploring the surface much more difficult than you'd think. Now, I'd managed to collect some gold ore at this point, and the ores were a whole lot more valuable back in the day, being the only real form of armor and weaponry, and often you were required to have some of these ore armors to make specialty armors, like jungle armor, for example. To make it, you need silver chainmail, helmet, and leggings. You also need one of each gem in order to, make the entire set. Jungle armor is stupidly expensive. Anyways, I got a bunch of gold, but then I accidentally trashed it. How? Well, the hotkeys are different.
Shift is a hotkey to trash. Oh, my gold.
Shift nowadays is a hotkey to quickly put things in chests, and I instinctively tried to use it only to throw away all my gold bars. That's wonderful. Speaking of ore, though, it's even more expensive in the earlier version. Pretty sure they lowered how many bars you need for each piece by 5 for every set, something like that. So that's a whole 15 fewer bars needed for a whole set of armor. Basically, what I'm saying is that you had to do a whole lot more mining, and silver in particular, strangely necessary ore for progression now, can be hard to pick out amongst the stone. Iron is also a smidgen tough to see. You really gotta pay more attention to spot the ores in this version. Now, there's several things on my bucket list for this run. Things that I know exist, but forgot exactly what they were like, such as glowing mushroom biomes. It's been here since the beginning, and I want to find it because the glowing mushroom is just cool and a nice place to be.
Glowing mushroom! Glowing mushroom. I wonder if it's like still known for having a lot of treasure or something. That would be great. Could use some more treasure. Oh, is it really just this? Is it really this small? Wow, this is it?
There was one golden chest nearby, which had nothing special in it. That's right, not every chest gives you a special item. Some are just potions and ammo. I also found out there was more glowing mushroom a little bit deeper in the cave. Oh, no! Oh! The glowing mushroom really is quite different than the one we know today. 1 or 2 layer thick caves were once sprawling pockets of the biome scattered about. I could roam and hop from one clump of mushroom to the next. It was strange, but I also like the idea of a biome that isn't contained into one mass. It's cool having a biome without clear borders.
It's not like one contained biome, it kind of spreads like a fungus.
I did find my very first life crystal in the glowing mushroom, and you want to guess how you collect them? By breaking them with a hammer. Yes, a hammer. They were so much more necessary back in the day. A little deeper and I found the lava layer, and turns out the lava layer used to be right next to the underworld. Either that or all worlds are small in OG Terraria, and this is just how things function on small worlds. I never play small worlds. To my surprise though, a voodoo demon of all things flies up and kills me. But wait, if there's voodoo dolls, does that mean there's a wall of fresh? I don't think the wall exists at this point. Now I'm curious, but way too weak to kill a demon, so I made a golden broadsword and figured I should focus even harder on actually gearing up. So I got to work on mining and collecting everything I need, though treasure is super hard to find, but I know one place that should be packed with goodies: the jungle. Little did I know the horrors that were about to be unleashed in this place.
For some reason I thought the jungle... Oh! What the heck? What are the spawn rates? What?
One thing to know is that ever since crafting the iron broadsword, slimes on the surface have been no issue at all. Really easy to deal with, so I expected the scaling and general difficulty to translate over to the jungle. And sure, of course, it will be more difficult than the surface, but the difference in difficulty was not anticipated. Maybe I need some better gear before attempting the jungle again, and, well, it was early in the morning.
Where, oh, where's the ore all gone? Where, oh, where could it be? I need some more ore for all my things. I don't care where they might be, I just need them now. Now, please give me. I need lots of ore, so I can mine and kill all the things in the old Terraria.
Tim?
Tim existed all the way back. Wow.
Somehow I ended up in the underworld again, probably because I was wondering if I could snag a Hellforge. Turns out you can't mine these things with a regular wooden hammer, and considering how you can't mine furnaces with pickaxes in this version, it has me wondering if you need a demonite hammer to break the thing. I killed a demon, which I mentioned because I was proud of it, and then figured I'd try the old reliable blow it up strategy, and sure enough, the bomb did the trick, and I got a Hellforge. I don't really need it, but hey, I got it. I was able to make full iron armor, which I thought would be enough for the jungle. I just wanted a bed as a backup. It's the same process to make a bed, but with one teeny little difference with chains. Today we craft 15 chains with a single iron bar, but in OG Terraria, you craft one chain with 3 iron bars. It's one of the most expensive differences I've noticed so far, and it's just absurd. Whose idea was this anyway? But whatever, I made the sawmill, the loom, and then a bed so I could make a safe little home in the jungle and cut out the long annoying trip where I have to jump over every small little block. Oh, I guess I also made a golden bow back at home because killing these hornets with a tiny sword was not working.
Wait, these aren't called hornets, they're called big stingers?
The horrors of the jungle did not stop, however. The golden bow did adequate damage, but hornets or stingers or whatever they are called must be breeding like rabbits and were all over the place. And not only them, man-eaters seem to travel in packs. And one thing about OG Terraria is that there are a lot fewer arrows you find lying around, and they only stack to 250, making arrows a much more valuable resource. So I decided I'd use other methods to take out the man-eaters. That's the first time in a long time I used a bomb as a weapon. Playing OG Terraria is like playing a mod that forces me to engage with the game totally differently. I love it. There are some newer skills though I've picked up that still work in this version, such as using Cobweb to break your fall mid-air.
Oh yeah, Cobweb clutch, baby.
And I guess this isn't a new skill, but making a little blind out of blocks works quite well with killing enemies while avoiding damage. In fact, I think they've improved the AI in the modern version because these hornets didn't even try to shoot at me, but nowadays I think they will if they line it up correctly. Possibly just as big an issue as the enemies though is the darkness. You have to brave dark caves to place torches just to see if the enemies might be there. Worse yet, torches can't break tall grass. So if literally anything is growing on a block, it'll prevent you from placing the torch. Pots prevent you from placing torches too, and in the jungle, where a lot of things grow, you'd sometimes be trying to place a torch for a very long time, or else have to plunge yourself into darkness so you can switch to a sword to break the grass to then place the torch. This place was truly an awfully difficult place to survive in.
Dang! Is there a way to get more damage than I currently have? The jungle! The jungle is insane!
I am really enjoying this difficulty spike. Generally, the jungle is tougher than other biomes, and each biome presents its own challenges in the current version of Terraria. But overall, there isn't much of a spike, but the jungle in OG Terraria feels like a pre-hard mode. Like, there does have to be real increase in your power to survive here, and you can't just steamroll the jungle early in the game to get kitted out in no time at all. That and how jungle armor is stupidly expensive to make now really slows you down and alters how you have to approach things. I was dying a lot, and I mean a lot, but why was I doing this? Well, primarily because I want to make the Blade of Grass. It's one of my favorite weapons in Terraria and has been for a very long time, so I reckon I'll love it just as much in OG Terraria as I have since the early days of playing the game. I just can't remember if I actually learned of the Blade of Grass before 1.2 because back then I didn't really get very far. There's also plenty of loot in the jungle like there is today, including the classic treasure rooms, just with golden chests instead of ivy ones. The contents are the same as you'd see today, it's just that there was no custom chest for the jungle yet, or any other biome for that matter. I got an anklet of wind, and it has me wondering if the boomstick even exists in this version. I'm not sure. I know there's the anklet and feral claws, and I know there is no fiberglass, fishing pole, or staff of regrowth. I'm just not sure about guns in OG Terraria. What was there a shotgun? After a lot of struggling, I finally collected enough spores and stingers to make a Blade of Grass. Of course, I also had to make a silver broadsword because silver equipment is just needed for jungle gear. The Blade of Grass definitely made things easier, but I maybe should have made made the chakram instead. The hornets are still tough to deal with, even with the greater reach of the blade of grass. Ranged weapons in the jungle are just necessary, and there really isn't anything that you can do when there's spawn rates like this. After struggling for a while, I got the chakram, crafting it for the first time in years, and it was a godsend, making the jungle far more survivable. Now I just needed to get better armor. I happened upon some spelunker potions, and so I drank one, and wow, this is far less helpful than the modern spelunker potion. It might look like the ore is just purple instead of gold like it is now, but this glow made copper ore look exactly like gold ore, and I repeatedly mined to the wrong ore veins, basically wasting all of my time. Eventually, I think I could tell the difference between the two, but I only had 2 potions, and it took 1 potion to figure that out. It did almost get me enough silver to make full armor, but not quite enough. But that's fine. I found an Eye of Cthulhu summon and figured it was time to fight my first boss. The Eye of Cthulhu really takes me back, being the first boss I ever encountered in the game, as well as one of the first bosses I encountered in video games, generally speaking. I remember the first time I saw this eye, and I was so confused as to what I was seeing and why a larger version of a demon eye was now chasing me down. It holds a special place in my heart because of that, but dang, is this boss easy in OG Terraria. He moves so slow and has so little health, and sure, he's got a second phase, but he isn't doing his super fast dashes anymore. Let's go. Easy money. Easy money. The Eater of Worlds and Skeletron, I'm pretty sure, are the only other bosses in this version. I know King Slime isn't, and the walls shouldn't. Yeah, it should just be those 2. And I could probably kill them, but I decided I'd mine more silver and gold just in case, because maybe their difficulty will scale a lot more like the jungle did. I was also looking to find more life crystals and treasure. Oh, and one thing I haven't mentioned yet, I'm not sure if the magic mirror exists in this version, and I know for a fact recall potions don't. I never did find a magic mirror, and so the only way to return home was to either walk all the way back up there, or else save an exit and rejoin. It kind of sucks, but at the same time, it made it so I had to be much more careful about what I left lying around and much more selective about where I traveled. Anyways, I found enough silver for full silver armor. A piranha had also dropped a hook, so I could finally get a grappling hook to help with my mobility. Never did find a cloud in a bottle or Hermes boots, and I'm pretty sure both exist in this version. Just could not find treasure anywhere, but a grappling hook works well enough for me. Also, there are no gem hooks, only this one original hook. There is the Ivy hook, but it's a direct upgrade of the regular hook and could not be made on its own. With silver armor and a blade of grass, I was pretty sure I could kill the Eater of Worlds easily enough. Of course, the chasms are still a little annoying because I kept jumping down the wrong ones. Also, turns out bombs can't blow up Emblems stone, and I would not have thought of that. I thought that was always a feature. Weird. I was able to find the lower section of the corruption, but of course couldn't do anything with a golden pick, and bombs were not working. But I did have an idea. What if I used dynamite? Well, dynamite cost 50 silver a piece and only stacks to 3. It was an expensive gamble, but it paid off. The worm spawned, and, well, in classic mode, you can just about stand still and whack the worm with a blade of grass and kill it without any issue. I think this was even more of a thing in later versions than 1.0, but this was still a super easy battle. Super low health and no projectiles made the worm quite a pushover. Meteors are also something that exists in OG Terraria. Can't break these with bombs either, which is just funny. Current Terraria does not allow you to blow up meteors with bombs, but you can blow up Ebonstone. OG Terraria says no to both unless you use dynamite. The power of explosives has really changed a lot with time. Once I had full demonite armor though, I ran across the surface to kill the final boss, Skeletron. And well, there isn't really anything to say about it. Skeletron doesn't shoot skulls, and his hands have very little health. Basically, just had to break the hands real quick and then just not get touched by the slow moving head. Some people say Terraria is easy now, and I just gotta laugh looking back at how the bosses were. Now, since Skeletron is the final boss, what is the endgame content? Well, you get the dungeon, and that actually feels like it does now. It looks different, of course, and there have been changes, but other than the trap blocks, or whatever you want to call them, it plays largely the same. Same stuff in the chest, same enemies with different sprites. The modern version is really quite faithful to the original. And, well, with the same drops, there was, of course, shadow keys that I could use to open shadow chests. A lot of the same stuff down here as well, but now I have the chance to really check out voodoo dolls and see if I have actually killed the final boss. It just killed the guide. That's all it did. Guess that is it. This has been such a trip. I am so thankful to Relaunching for making this version of Terraria available for us to play. I have been wanting to go on this nostalgia trip for the longest time, and I am the kind of person who generally hates nostalgia trips, but this was a true joy. Thank you all for joining me on this admittedly short journey back to how Terraria all began. If you haven't played it already, I would absolutely recommend you make your own journey in OG Terraria.